much. Yes, we came up with the 5 agenda. As you know, I'm just going to talk about what happened yesterday. The first agenda was about the name that one went to the parking lot. Then the second agenda was what we completed yesterday after deliberating over it for nearly 4 days, the root causes. Yes, of course, it wasn't all that easy, but really it has to be spoken. Both parties spoke well, including the stakeholders, and also presentation by the secretary, the chief mediator. They have somebody who also summarized the root causes that is affecting South Sudan, and that's why we remain in a continuous conflict in South Sudan. It wasn't easy, but at the end of it yesterday we managed to reach an agreement of saying yes, we have already aired what is really true, and this has to go to, we formed this kind of a small group that will be working on it, but at least we came to that level of saying yes, we have issues which are the root causes. For example, the issue of lack of implementation of several agreements. Another example could be the issue of we are operating on the tribal issues, and also we also talked of the personalization of liberation war, that a few family or a few group of people feel they are the ones who liberated the country, while they are the ones who have the right to the resources across the country, while the majority have no right at all because they did not contribute. We also agree that no, that needs to be aired, this needs to be corrected among the citizens, that all of us contributed in one way or the other, and it is our country. We don't have any other country. We have one country, South Sudan, which belongs to everyone that is South Sudanese. Thank you.
And have you touched the issue of economy, the issue of social and cultural norms, and what some of the way forwards which were suggested yesterday, or I mean during the 4 days?
Yes, we touched those areas. Those are sensitive areas. The economy, of course, it is really the inflation and how people are being affected and those kind of things. We touched them, of course. We are yet to come up with the final points that we narrowed it to. So when the technical committee work on them and come up with them, that will be the final one. Then we can be able to say, okay, this is the final thing we have come up with. Otherwise, we talked that. We talked about the economy. We also said, no, we should be the one to control our economy, not really the cartels, because the cartels have their own interests, but we have to handle the economy so that we can be able to move it on the rightful way that is expected of us in the country.
And let's talk about, Bridget, let's talk about the 6-member committee. Who is going to be part of the committee? Because Dr. Martin Nagomoro yesterday said we're talking about 6-member committee that has been formed. What will be their tasks?
As technical people, what we had narrowed and they said we have closed it, the chapter of root causes. They will have to go with their technical way of doing things into what we have discussed, the root causes and so on, and then narrow it in a way that they look into all the 3 groups, what we come up with, and what is similar, and the dissimilarity, what are the major things, and then in their own way of technical people, then they will come up with one single and very important root causes that will, I think, will have to be documented, that can be implemented, that we can always look into and say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 root causes, and we need to be very careful and how do we handle it and so on, and get over it.
Yeah, so how much time do they have, the committee? Have you as parties agreed to have a specific, like the duration for the committee to conclude? It wasn't agreed upon.
Oh, well, time is running. It was yesterday that it happened in the evening. I would say is it, the small ad hoc committee. They were given a very short time. Perhaps today they will be reporting again to the bigger group at around 10. I don't know. I'm not sure if that time is sufficient because we ended up yesterday at around 11, probably getting to bed at to midnight. Then when do they sleep and when do they do the work? So it's a question mark. So I don't know. Yeah.
And on that, I actually asked Dr. Martin yesterday during a press briefing, and we later hear about the press briefing last evening here on the dawn after we end our conversation, which is going to be about 30 minutes for today. But then, Bridget, how has the agenda of root causes of conflict in South Sudan addressed or touched issues affecting women? And I mean, issues affecting women or challenges facing women. Have they been touched or addressed during the discussion of this agenda for root causes of conflict?
Thank you. We discussed mainly generally because we are all South Sudanese, either men or women. All of us are affected with the economy, the inflation. People are not receiving a salary. It's not only women, but everyone. So we spoke general, the root causes, like the example I've given of the tribal line. If the country is operating on tribal line, both sides are being affected, women and men, provided you belong to this tribe and this tribe is favored and so on. So I think we spoke general of what is affecting all of us and how can we get over it. And we look at the bigger picture of the country. What country do we want to have tomorrow? Do we have to carry this forward to our the next generation, or we need to make an end to it? So we discussed generally on what is affecting both men and women. And although some areas, as I spoke at somewhere, saying yes, we acknowledge that there is a gender currently operating in the system, that we have key ladies who are at a higher level serving the country. But there are gaps, and that is still one of the root causes. So we need to fill those gaps so that both sides of male and female can also participate fully and contented that we are equally according to the percentage given to us.
And why has it taken the parties about 4 days to agree on the root causes? I mean, the mediation release work that the talks should end by the 11th of this month. So will that really happen? 11th of this month, I mean, based on the program, what has been changed?
Thank you. I'm not very sure that will come to pass as it was put on the agenda by the chief mediator, because you know, we are dealing with the parties. They have their own views and they have their own way of doing things. Monday this week and Tuesday, we were just waiting on one party that was not ready yet, though the rest of us were ready. And we started yesterday. The program has extended to Tuesday. And realistically, not all of us or not all the parties may be present until Tuesday for some reasons or the other, which they know they can be the one to express it better than me. So I think this may not be realistically according to how the program came out from the secretariat or the mediator.
Right, now let's go to the agenda on relationship between the Tumaini Peace Initiative and the R-ARCSS. Have you already started discussing this agenda or not yet?
We started yesterday evening. That's what took us until 10.
So, okay, describe to us.
Yeah, the relationship between Tumaini Initiative and R-ARCSS. Of course, it picked up with a lot of discussions, a lot of inputs from both sides as to why this has to be done and why what the agreement could that be. They were still negotiating. And that is the beginning. And the way I've looked at our discussions here, when an agenda, we only pick on the agenda like this one, the third one, it takes time to narrow it. We begin from far and far. Coming, then maybe somehow, somewhere, you reach it. So we started a little bit far yesterday.
And I understand the government delegation requested to go back to Juba to participate or in preparation for the extended transitional period, which will be on 22nd of this month. So have you, as the stakeholders or the opposition or the mediators, have they agreed or accepted? Is that what's going to happen? And does that mean the negotiation will be adjourned until the government delegation return, or you will continue discussing here?
Thank you. To my hearing, as I heard it,
yeah, they announced it to us yesterday.
They announced it yesterday. Yeah, that is true. We tried to, when I say we, for me I stand with the stakeholders. We had it and we tried to persuade them kindly could they extend to Sunday or Monday, so that at least these most important topics of relationship, we could iron it up and leave it with the secretariat, or this technical committee, as they will continue working on it. Then we can break. The government has the prerogative, of course, to go as they explained it yesterday. Then that time when they are away and we are away, the technical committee would be working on it. By the time they will agree among themselves, because they are going to agree, the two parties plus the secretariat, on when to resume, when to come back. So by the time they would come back, this technical committee would have already finalized what we already discussed, and we reach it to the final part of it. So that would make it easier for that time to come when they return, and things will just move forward. Otherwise, if you leave it where it is, it may again delay, because we will again go back and forth and we'll start the agenda. But it seems they are not ready to extend to Monday. Seems they are ready to move on Saturday. And therefore, whatever we shall discuss today, we shall leave it hanging halfway and wait until the next time that they will come back and resume. So
meaning if one party is not present, that means they will not have a plenary, the discussion will not continue?
Now, there are the two parties are the major people, and we are here in the middle for us. And then the chief mediator is guiding, that is his role. So if one party is not present, then whom would you discuss this matter with? So I don't think it is possible.
Yes. And on the relationship yesterday, where have you reached? Or it was just a discussion up to 11? Because people might be wondering, what have you people been discussing from morning up to 11 p.m. yesterday?
I said we started from far. We did not reach halfway yet. It was just the beginning. Why the relationship between Tumaini and Tumaini Initiative and R-ARCSS, and how could that be? Is it to be deleted? Is it going to be picked? Let me say the major things were this. The first delegation, because the extension was coming to an end, we, together with them, the two parties discussed and said, okay, the pending and the unfinished activities from R-ARCSS should be integrated into the new things from the Tumaini. In case there is no extension, this would be the agreement to move forward. But because they went for extension, now it is a different story. They need the new things which Tumaini has come up with to be annexed to the R-ARCSS, which is already a running program. But to the other side, it's a different way of interpretation. So that was the beginning part of it. That's why I said it was still far. We have not narrowed it. I don't know how it will go today after evening. So they have their own prerogative. We are doing our part. We are talking and we are explaining things. We feel the pain. We feel the cry. But we have to put it into words so that we come to a better understanding agreement. But it's not easy. It's not picking up very fast. It is very slow. That's what I can tell you. We hope things will work, but we are trying our best. And even if I begin to cry shedding tears, you know, you were asking, most of you are men. You always say women only like to cry and shed tears. Even if they see those tears, they will mean nothing to them. But we are talking and insisting and emphasizing things that we need peace in the country. Women are suffering and children, and we are the most vulnerable group in the society. Of the pity on the think the same thing. Will Tumaini be an entertainment like what was in Rome? And will the government sign the Tumaini consensus agreement? Well, in my views, yes, it started in Rome. Then the two heads of state agreed to shift it to Nairobi. And it started in May or April last year, but official May on the 9th, up to July 15th when we initialed. Things starting again, a little bit dragging behind because of other parties, of course, did not agree, or there was no unanimous agreement on the initial end. And that took us up to December. We resumed for 2 weeks, and we have come again for 3 weeks. If it was an entertainment, we would not be going to bed at midnight. I think it is an issue that we are here for, and we are serious for peace. Only that to have peace, it is not like getting anything on a silver plate. It is the two parties to agree, and each party must get convinced of the agreement that they are coming to. So that's what it takes time. I can also recall back some years during SPLA. They would go and come 1 year, 2 years, 3 years until they will reach an agreement. So that's how the nature of the negotiation. It's not just like a simple discussion or debate in class. It takes time until both parties are convinced, and then they agree and sign it. Will the government sign it? I've already said it will depend on how they will get convinced among themselves. And then that's when they will move for the signing. Then the parties are discussing more of their interests, or as in
the interest of the people.
Or interest of the people.
Yes.
That's one part of the nature of the discussion as well. As I listen to them, of course, we have a coalition government, and we have a coalition opposition party. So there you can imagine it. It is not one opposition party, neither one government. Several parties are there who are the signatories to the R-ARCSS. So you have to make sure each of the party is convinced of what he had signed and what is coming in as Tumaini. Tumaini has several also opposition parties. They have to be convinced as well. So that's why it is taking long. Of course, as both parties are negotiating and discussing, they cannot throw away the interest. The interest when they were the signatories to R-ARCSS cannot be thrown away. The interest of the other party cannot be thrown away. And then the people whom they are going to serve, the citizen, is also within the interest there. So we cannot separate interests from the people as parties in one government and as parties in one opposition.
And there was another there was a question someone was asking, is there hope in the Tumaini? Can they believe that Tumaini will bring hope to the people of South Sudan?
yes, as Christians, we have faith. We believe we will have peace, and that peace from Tumaini is a drop of something in an ocean. How do they say it? A drop of water in an ocean. So if that one comes, and then the other one comes, why do I say it is a drop of peace in an ocean? The country is big, and not all our brothers are back to the country. Some are still out. So if these ones agree and sign and come home, we will continue to convince other brothers who are out. You know the brothers I'm talking about. Thomas Cirillo is one of them, and others who are still having grudges and they're out of the country. So until all of them come back and agree and say, this is our country, we can solve our issues internally, then that's when we can say, okay, we are moving toward this holistic peace. And then from there we can move on and find and sort out our differences. How do we accommodate one another, regardless of who you are, what difference? Because there is no human being who is perfect, my dear brothers and sisters. And that's how God created us. But what is very important is, how do I live regardless with my brother and sister of his differences with me, and rise above it and look at the country, the nation, and the citizen whom I'm leading today. If I'm a leader, what is it that can be done in favor of the citizen and the country, which may not tarnish the image of the country? That's what is very important.
Right.
But as a human being, we are not perfect. Thank you.
What's your last message before we can wind up our discussion today?
Thank you. My last message to us, we South Sudanese, is in faith, let us believe peace will come to our country. One day, one time, holistically. Let us also work hard for it, because we can have faith, we can pray, but with no action, nothing will happen. We need to work hard, and we need to believe we don't have two countries. We have one country, South Sudan, and we must make it a better place to live in for everybody. And it cannot belong to one tribe. It is for all the tribes. Even if you say we have 100 tribes, South Sudan is our country. We should not mess it. We have to fix it and live in a happy and the best that we can do, so that our children and the next generation can build on what we have put for them. Thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you, I Radio, for hosting me.